That's a little bit better. It is a stunner from Fabio Quagliarella. It's up again for Dzeko, who's in for Robin and scores.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio told like it is. I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Kharman. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing on this Tuesday evening? Tuesday seems to be a sweet spot for us now. Things happen perfectly.
And people are embracing it. They're liking the Tuesday night, sitting right in there. You're perfecting the Larry Zabisco salutation with each time we do this, so that's good too. So
practice makes perfect.
Yeah. The more you do it, the better you get at it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been a nice little spot for us, and got some compliments from a couple of our listeners that would make up 33% of our audience. I might be generous, but anyway. But nonetheless, appreciate the compliments, and those that are getting into the video feed, jump in, check in, tell us who you are. If you are listening, drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're checking us out for the first time. So, a lot to cover, and we are gonna freestyle this bad boy. So
I like it.
Yep, I think that's what we're going to do. So we are going to do the Serie sit-down through pass of match week 34. And that started, let's just run right through it. Ciao, Miguel. He's checking in again. It started with Hellas Verona and Atalanta, and that ended up in a 1-1 draw. Goals by Duvan Zapata and Matteo Pessina, both in the second half. Not as much possession as you would think from Atalanta in this game, just 55%. In fact, Hellas Verona made a game out of this. In fact, had 8 shots on target. So Golini was called on and had to make 7 saves. On the other end, Silvestri made 6 saves. So a good match here for the goalkeepers, to be sure. Also on Saturday, had Cagliari and Sassuolo playing to a 1-1 draw. That opened up with my cousin, Francesco Caputo, scoring in the 12th minute. And you thought maybe Sassuolo would start winning this running in the way. In the 48th minute, Andrea Carboni gets his second yellow, shown red in the 48th. But not to be for Sassuolo. They couldn't find the net the rest of the match. In fact, they only had 2 shots on target this whole game, despite having 78% of the possession. And it would be João Pedro pouncing for the equalizer to give Cagliari the point. Michael Lisi's in the house. What's up, Michael?
What's up, Michael?
Good to see him again. And then it's been a long time since I've seen AC Milan batter anybody, and they battered Bologna by 5-1. Alexis Salamaker's getting his first Milan goal. Opportunistic at that, was in the right place, right time. Good ball in from Teo Hernandez. Yeah. Hakan Çalhanoğlu, right place, right time. After Skrupski couldn't get the ball cleared, he volleys at home, making it 2-0. A goal of the week candidate in terms of one of the better goals. It was probably the only bright spot for Bologna in this game. What a strike from Takehiro Tomiyasu in the 44th minute, making this somewhat of a game. But second half would come around. Ismail Benacer getting his first Milan goal, making it 3-1. Ante Rebic on an assist from Zlatan, making it 4-1. And then Davide Calabria getting the start in this game and then finishing off the match in style in the 92nd minute. Assist there from Rafael Leao, a comprehensive 5-1 win. And comprehensive doesn't even begin to explain it. Skorupski had to make 8 saves in addition to the 5. This could have been a lot worse. Evan Morris from Down Under. Ciao, man. Good to see you. But it was the possession was relatively even, but clearly Milan did a hell of a lot more with it, and going on and getting the 5-1 win. Let's go into Sunday's games. Parma, Sampdoria. Parma had the early 2-0 lead through Gervinho, and then a own goal by Bartosz Bereszynski. There was a goal canceled from VAR that would have been scored by Gianluca Caprari. Where the hell has he been? Sampdoria in the second half with the turnaround. Julian Chabot making it 2-1, and then the old man Fabio Quagliarella leveling it at 2. Federico Bonazzoli getting the winner. Bonazzoli's popping up for some goals lately.
He's been key for them.
Yeah, he has. a 3-2 win, an assist from Quagliarella there, so he got in on the action in that match. A lot of shot volume in this game from both of these teams. Parma having the ball a little bit more, but Sampdoria coming away with the goals in a 3-2 win, furthering their cause for safety. Brescia and Spal, the two teams at the bottom of the table. Brian Dabo opening the scoring for Spal, but it would be Brescia getting the win on the day to give them what faint hopes they have left of survival. Jaromir Zemral with both goals and assisted both times by Alfredo Donnarumma.
Nice.
Fiorentina 2, Torino 0. Torino's just quit.
They have.
They really have quit. Stefano, ciao. Lianco with an own goal in the second minute. Figured, hey, we're not going to win. We've given up. Let's give you a head start, Fiorentina. Here you go. And then in the 75th minute, Patrick Cutrone, man, he's scoring some goals suddenly. 2-0 to La Viola to get the win there. Genoa and Lecce, huge relegation 6-pointer. We had the Lecce guys on Sunday for an interview. Tried to keep their spirits up a little bit. I don't think it was nice of either of us to tell them that had given up 76 goals this season, but facts are facts.
Facts are facts.
Yep. So Antonio Sanabria in the 7th minute with a 1-0 lead, and then just before halftime, Lecce would get a penalty that Marco Mancosu would take, and would have Simone Zaza shaking his head in disgust. But nonetheless, Genoa 1-0 up at halftime. Marco Mancosu would make amends, scoring in the 60th minute, and then a very unfortunate own goal in the 81st minute that separated this game, giving Genoa the win. It went off of Gabriel and into the back of the net. But it was Lecce who had the possession, had more shots. Just the only shot on target was the one they scored. Just couldn't make total use of their attacking chances. Napoli, Udinese, 2-1 to Napoli. It did open with Rodrigo De Paul scoring in the 22nd minute. Issue for Napoli, Dries Mertens getting hurt in the 31st. Arkadiusz Milik comes on for him, and within the minute, scores on a cross from Fabian Ruiz that I think got through the entire Udinese team, and it was on the ground and it was slow. So don't ask me how Udinese defends crosses, because I don't know. All right. And then in the 90-plus 5th minute, Matteo Politano with a banger off an assist from Elside Husay. Napoli guys, do you still hate Husay? It's a pass any of us could have made. I just had to say it, though. Napoli winning by 2-1. And then on Sunday, the nightcap on Sunday, Roma and Inter, big match there. 2-2 the final. Stefan de Vrij in the 15th minute. And then on the stroke of halftime, Leonardo Spinazzola leveling. They actually had to go to VAR. There was something they were checking on this. I can't remember what it was. It's been 2 days. I can't remember everything.
Lots have happened 2 days.
Yeah. But nonetheless, the goal got confirmed. And then in the second half, 57th minute, Henrik Mkhitaryan making it 2-1, played in by Aiden Dzeko to give Roma the lead until the 88th minute, a penalty. Romelu Lukaku would take advantage of that and score for each team to get a point. And this all ended with Juventus and Lazio. 2-1 for Juventus. First half, and I watched a chunk of this game. I watched almost all of this game. First half, really, I think Juventus feeling it out, didn't get anything crazy. Best chance really came from Immobile hitting the post in the first half, but then in the second half, a penalty to Juve, Penaldo scoring, getting his 29th on the season, but he would get his 30th on the season on a counterattack. Dybala, Dybala was going to give him the ball so he could get his 30th goal, and you know that Ronaldo would have had the temper tantrum of a lifetime if Dybala took that for himself, and especially if he would have missed. Yeah. So making it 2-0, and just for about a half an hour, just about a half an hour, Ronaldo had the Capocannoniere to himself until my pick, Ciro Immobile, got to step up and take a penalty in the 83rd minute, but that was not enough for Lazio. They drop all 3 points. Really, on the balance of this, Juventus were deserved winners. Lazio did put a great fight considering how shorthanded and undermanned they were, but the old lady gets the win. Wrapping up Sunday. Start with takeaways. Let's start with that Juve Lazio game real quick. Richard, your takeaways from what you saw.
I was impressed to see that both we had 2 30-goal scorers in that game. It's let alone to have one, but have both happen in the same game. That was great to see. Ronaldo's 30th goal was nicer than Immobile's. Both had penalties in this game. Both of them had plenty of penalties this season. But overall, I thought man of the match for me was Paulo Dybala. He was doing what he wanted with the ball. There was a play where he took on 3 Lazio players, nearly scored. It was early second half, I believe, and he's so good in that game. And Ronaldo just being in the right place, right time. He's obviously getting penalties, getting a tap in there. Dybala doing all the work there. It's very strange. It's the second time in as many weeks that we've seen a breakaway from midfield. We saw Rebic the other week. Now we see Dybala and Ronaldo with a breakaway from midfield. So teams are really going all in, trying to get goals in, and Lazio were made to pay for that. Understandably, they knew that the season was already gone in terms of Scudetto hopes. But with that win, Juventus confirmed what we all knew, that the title is theirs. I mean, points, what's it, 5 points now difference, but it's still it would take a lot for Atalanta or Inter to win. But good game. It's unfortunate that Lazio had collapsed as they did at the end of the season, because this could have been a really special game as opposed to just being a top 4 game.
Imagine not starting Paulo Dybala. I mean, seriously. And oh wait, he didn't start Paulo Dybala. He started Gonzalo Higuain, and Gonzalo Higuain is too fat and doesn't stretch properly and got hurt in warmups. So Paulo Dybala had to start. Yeah. And can you imagine what that game? I can already tell you, Lazio probably would have been ahead had Higuain not gotten hurt in warmups, because it would have been granted, he's a veteran and all this other stuff, but Dybala moves around in so many different positions, and the combination of him, Douglas Costa, Ronaldo, just really made it a lot harder for Lazio's back 3 to deal with. I think they dealt with it relatively admirably on the whole, but it would have been a lot more predictable, with the Higuain in the game, and it would almost be like playing 11v10. I mean, when Milan played Juve with Higuain out there, the one really redeeming use that Higuain had the whole time was the run that he made to set up Rabiot's goal. There isn't a whole lot to what he's doing. So, and we've been screaming about it all season long about Juventus. Sarri has figured out how to make Ronaldo and Dybala work together, and I don't know what's going on that all of a sudden you just don't start him. And now he's forced to start him, and it was a great performance from him.
That's the one player that would make my starting 11 every time. That'd be the first name I pick, maybe outside of Ronaldo, every single time. So I don't know what the heck Sarri is thinking, because this guy can do so much from pretty much any position in the attack. And we saw in this game when he obviously does work well with Ronaldo. He set him up with that nice goal. Did a lot of special things on the wings and the central part and the left. He moves around. It's really nice, as opposed to Higuain, who's very static. And Bernardeschi doesn't give you that much as well. Douglas Costa, when he's hitting, he's great, but when he's missing, doesn't provide much. So Dybala, it's a head scratcher for me. I don't know why anyone, even the Argentine national team, why you never pick this guy. Yeah,
indeed. In Lazio, I think, considering that they didn't have a whole lot of creative element to what they were doing, I thought they held up well. It was going to be hard for them to get the 3 points in this game, but to still be in it with a shout was good. But not having Luis Alberto, not having Johnny, not having some of those guys, I thought in the set piece role and in certain situations, I thought Cataldi was serviceable. And I thought that Milinkovic-Savic, for whatever reason, he's always up for playing Juve, and I thought he was solid again in this one. So they got some solid performances from guys they needed them from. I like the look of this Javan Anderson that played on the left. I do too. He needs more games, whether he gets that with Lazio or whether that ends up somewhere else. There's some potential with that kid. So I liked what I saw there.
Were you okay with the 2 penalties? The one Bastos handball and the Bonucci one?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem on either of them. There were no debates there. They didn't even go to VAR. It was pretty clear cut. So it's funny, Steve saying, and what I totally agree is Inter, Lazio, and Atalanta to an extent all shit to bed at the end of the season. Juve dropped so many points this year, but still going to win the title. I definitely, the first 2 have definitely shit to bed because they were in the race all season long, and then they just capitulated at the end. But Atalanta, they have had struggles the last couple of weeks. There's no doubt about that. They struggled today, and they struggled the last couple of weeks. So, yeah,
It's never going to be easy. We obviously know who the most attractive team to watch as a neutral is, but Inter Lazio, this continues every year, and we hate to keep repeating, but it's mind games with them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've harped on that. I mean, Inter, Lazio, Roma, these are teams with mentality issues, and obviously Roma's not contending this year or in a position to contend. But when you look at how this all went down, Inter dropped some really silly points throughout the process. I mean, the late goals they gave up to Sassuolo back then, you draw Sassuolo, which turned out to not be so terrible when you look at how Sassuolo's form has been since the restart. And then you look at Lazio, just Simone Inzaghi just continuing to play the same players over and over again, no breaks for guys and things like that. So you got guys on a lot of those Lazio guys are just on fumes right now. And you got an Atalanta team that is mixing it up a little bit, getting results. And, I don't know if I can say that Atalanta really shit the bed. I think in their case, they were just a little further behind, and had a lot more ground to make up. And I think that they've played relatively well here. They have found ways. And Michael Lisi, if you're listening, I saw your tweet seeing how Atalanta are getting some clean sheets lately. Today against Bologna. I mean, Bologna is no slouch. They can score some goals.
They beat Inter.
They beat Inter. They shut out Napoli. So they've put this together a little bit here, and then they've shown a side where they're showing a side where they can defend a little bit too. So, which is going to come in handy for them as they get ready for their Champions League games here coming up. And I'm paraphrasing to a lengthy extent what Michael Lisi tweeted. I thought it was a very good point. So they're getting that element to the game while still being ruthless going forward. Today they won 1-0 and moved on, but against Bologna. But they're showing a little diversity to what they can do, and I think it's a little harsh to lump Atalanta in the shit the bed conversation. I think that they had a lot more ground to make up, and I think they've done a good job in making that up. As of today, they're 6 points back, but Juve has a game in hand. But yeah, to the point of Lazio and Inter, they have dropped some pretty silly points in this run.
Yeah. And out of all this in this game, what's lost is that Ronaldo's now scored 50+ goals in the English League, La Liga, and Serie A now. First player to do that, which is, it's impressive how consistent this guy is.
Yep.
Like him or hate him, you got to give him credit for being very consistent in all the leagues he plays in. And so despite his ripe old age of whatever, 34 it is, or 35, he's still getting it done. And Ibra is too, though. So.
Yep. I, agree with that. What'd you make of the Roma-Inter game?
That's a crazy game, man. I was impressed that Roma came out the way they did and took the early lead, took the lead again, make it 2-1. Again, scored on early against an opponent like that is never easy, but they came back and Spinazzola and then Mkhitaryan making it 2-1. It seemed like maybe they had the game control. And I was getting ready to come on this podcast and praise Roma, and then Spinazzola made that horrible mistake. I mean, he was looking dead at the ball and still missed the swing and kicked Moses. I mean, I don't know how you do that. If he wasn't looking, I could tell, but it looked like he was looking right at the ball and still missed the ball. I don't know. So it was a decent game plan by Fonseca and his men, but ultimately, the team that probably gets hurt the most out of this is probably Roma. You want to say Inter because they lose a grip on the Scudetto. They never really had it. But Roma, they had their chance to really spread the gap between Napoli and Milan, who are trailing behind them or were at this game, and failed to get the 3 points that they needed, especially with the lead at such a late point in the game. You had, a few minutes remaining and blow that lead. So it's always tough to lose those kind of games. So yeah, I think they lost the most of this game, that and Spinazzola. Just
for two teams in what we're used to seeing out of them, it felt like they were cautious playing against each other,
Yeah.
Not a lot of chances from either team in this game.
Nobody wanted to make that mistake, it seemed like, and unfortunately that hurts you.
Yep. It just it felt like a weird game to me, and I think that Stevie made the point here. What a dumb game, Roma versus Inter, Madonna mia. Exactly a fair point. We talked about the Genoa Lecce game a little bit in the interview. By the way, check out on our YouTube page that interview with Lecce supporters of the UK Lecce fan club. Will and Dom were outstanding. We also have that as a separate recording you can find on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Go and check that out. Who knows? Who knew you could carve out a 40-minute spot talking about Lecce, but we did.
We did. I looked at the top and like, what happened here? It was a good conversation. We had the Tom Hardy lookalike on the show talking about the Vinnie Jones lookalike on defense. It was good conversation. I mean, both Dom and Will, and obviously the whole Lecce fan club at the UK, they have a lot of passion for Lecce. And it's great to see, being in London. That's the last thing you would think, but man, that's impressive and good for them. And they seem to have a wild ride with this whole thing, so good for them.
But as it pertains to this game, with the way the match flowed, in my opinion, this was a missed opportunity for Lecce. Really should have gotten at least a point out of it. And now 4 back with 4 to play. It's going to be extremely. They have to beat Brescia on Wednesday, to put the pressure on Genoa here.
And they even said so in the interview. They were saying, like, if we don't beat Brescia, we're getting relegated no matter what.
Yep. And
I agree.
Indeed. And I mean, Brescia has mathematical chance of getting out of this, but they're 9 back with 4 to play. So it's going to be a real challenge for them. But this was such an important win for Genoa. And Davide Nicola doing it again. He did it with Crotone just a couple of years back, and now he is trying to work to keep Genoa safe. And in a game here where they really gutted it out, Lecce had more of the ball. Particularly in the second half, they just were wasteful with their chances. And really the goalkeeper, Perrin, didn't have a whole lot to do for all the possession and for the shots that Lecce actually took. There really wasn't much for the young goalkeeper for Genoa to have to do in this game, and that's a shame. I mean, when you're getting opportunities and you're up against it and you've got to try to get out of a jam, you're trying to get out of relegation, you've got to find ways to score goals and put some pressure on that goalkeeper. Lecce didn't do it.
And from the penalty spot, no less. And Mancosu, their best player, just my goodness. That you felt at that moment that relegation was doomed for them. There was no chance because their best player can't even score from the spot. But he would make amends, I guess, in a way. But that goal could have changed a lot at that moment. Unfortunately for them, didn't happen that way. So,
if Torino could play everybody that's below them, they'd be amazing in the table. But whenever and then I think some of this has to be said. There's no fans. Okay, George, what's going on?
What's up, George? Cagliari's house.
There's no fans, but this Torino team won. Let me see. All the way back. I'm going as far back as February 2nd. Lost 4-0. This is their away matches here in Serie A. Lost 4-0 at Lecce, 1-0 at Milan, 2-1 at Napoli, 4-2 at Cagliari, 4-1 at Juventus, 3-1 at Inter, 2-0 at Fiorentina. I mean, that is just painfully bad. You want to understand why that they've gotten into a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. They got 37 points. They're going to be fine. But it seems like they don't want to leave Turin. And it's, this game here against Fiorentina, they were just out. I mean, they had more of the ball, but, Fiorentina, with the way Iachini gets things set up, was far more dangerous with less of the ball than Torino was in this game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And, they made him pay. They made him pay. And, obviously you were talking about Crotone scoring again. He's scoring a lot of late goals for Fiorentina, and that's got to be a confidence boost that if you're in the game, you have that little card in your back pocket that could possibly score goals. And as of late, Crotone has been scoring goals. But, yeah, they played Iachini's tactics to a T almost, and they capitalized on the opportunity that they had. And Torino, I mean, Belotti hit the post one time on a header and had a couple opportunities, but yeah, they seem like they're on vacation mode already. Parma's another team that seems like they're on vacation mode as well. They're just above Torino at the moment, both of them at 40 and 37 points respectively. I guess they're I don't know. The players are not concentrating as much because they're like, we're not going to get relegated and we're not going to get any higher. So what do we care? Get a paycheck, I guess. I don't know. It boggles the mind for me, but hey, Fiorentina's getting the win, so that's I guess the most important thing, because they struggled so much this season, and finally they're starting to get a couple wins here at the end of the season. And to see our old boy Cutrone get some goals is always good too.
Sampdoria have now won 3 in a row and 5 out of 6. The one loss in that stretch, Atalanta, they can be forgiven for that.
Yeah.
Claudio Ranieri has this thing turned around. They're 13th. They're on 41 points.
We thought it would happen, right? It took longer than expected, but they finally figured it out. Now they're scoring goals. You got to give a lot of credit to Bonazzoli. He's been big in the last several weeks, getting some big goals for them. A game winner this week. But Sampdoria getting some big wins here, and they've cushioned themselves nicely out of that zone. At the moment, Genoa is the only one really worrying, but for a while there, we were worried that Sampdoria wasn't going to make it out, and it would have been terrible to see not only one Genovese club out of this, but possibly 2 Genovese clubs getting relegated. That would be traumatic for Serie, I think, especially with all they've gone through in Genoa, in that city. It's good to see Sampdoria pulling things out. And by the way, speaking of that, they opened the bridge over there in Genoa, the one that collapsed.
Excellent.
Last year. It's not open for the public, but they've been testing it. They've been running trucks along it to make sure it can hold a weight. It doesn't look that great of a bridge, but I mean, as long as it does the job, that's all that matters. But not to distract from what we were talking about Sampdoria. So,
in the since the match has restarted, Parma only has 4 points.
Yeah, unreal. And they lost the teams that they had no right losing to. Sampdoria is probably one of those teams, I would say. Granted, they're fighting for their lives in a sense because they're close to the relegation spot, but they should not be losing to teams like that. They've been blowing leads. It's very uncharacteristically Parma. You know, Kulusevski's not been playing well. Cornelius, Gervinho, even though he scored today or this weekend, the whole team is just not playing. And I guess they too, like Torino, are on vacation mode.
It seems that way. I mean, the fixture list for them since the restart has actually been painful. But clearly, if you're going to go 2-0 up, you got to take your chance. You got to go on and try to win the game. But it's a team that defensively has all of a sudden gotten really frail, and they were rather solid. They could rely on the goalkeeping of Luigi Sepe, and now they have given up multiple goals in 7 consecutive games.
I blame for growing his hair out. You know, he thinks he's like me and he wants to grow his hair out. He looked good with shaved head, and he's playing really well, and he grew it out, and the team's playing poor now. That's the whole reason right there.
Well, the hair's getting in his eyes. He can't see the ball anymore.
Not that long, but yeah.
That's probably what it is. Well, they play Napoli tomorrow, so it doesn't get their fixture list doesn't get any better, does it?
No.
So, but nonetheless, so yeah, they're a team that has fallen fast. So as you're taking a look at some of these teams here, you know, Hellas Verona getting a point here against Atalanta, showing that they're still playing a little bit here. Same with Cagliari battling for a point.
Yeah.
You know, some of these teams right now just trying to find ways to get top half finishes.
Yeah, both those clubs, Cagliari and Hellas, they played teams that were in form and handled them very well. You know, Cagliari at home, being doing what they had to do. You know, maybe not necessarily winning possession or anything, but it doesn't matter as long as you get the result at the end. And yeah, they have nothing to play for, but you're at home. You want to have a good performance in front of your home crowd, well, so to speak. If they were there watching, they're watching from nearby. They did what they had to do to get a point, and the same thing with Hellas. Hellas has been a good defensive team all year long. It was a true test. People wonder what a good defense would look like against Atalanta, and they gave the rest of Serie a recipe on how to maybe defend them. It's never easy, but yeah, they got a point. Good for them, and that's probably one of the stories of the year is Hellas coming up from promotion and then doing so well.
Yep,
really humming defensively at least.
Just going to be a matter of how many of those guys they're going to be able to keep after this season is over with.
Yeah.
And, Amrabat and Kumbula are 2 guys that are already gone.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that team shapes out. When the 2020-21 season gets started. Hey, if you're in the chat, hit us up if you got any questions on what's going on with Serie A. We're going to take the time to answer them today.
What'd you make of the last match week? It was a lot of crazy action. I know all these people support different teams here, so give us your hot takes of the week.
Plenty of goals.
Yeah.
As always, Serie A doesn't seem to fail to deliver on that. So let's briefly get into today's games, and most importantly, Atalanta beating Bologna by 1-0. It was Luis Muriel coming on as a substitute and finishing there. But
is he the best sub in the league? I mean, look at his numbers. He got 18 goals now or something as a sub pretty predominantly this season.
Paulo Dybala is the best sub in the league because Sarri never starts him. But
I don't know. That's a close.
Sarri never intends to start him.
Yeah.
No, you got to go with it. I mean, I think he's only started. They were saying today, Jamie Donaldson was saying on the ESPN telecast, I think Murillo's only started 8 games.
Yeah.
And he's still got a good collection of goals. I don't know exactly what that goal got his tally to.
I think it's 18. I think maybe I want to say. But let's look at it. I got right here in front of me. He has 18 goals. There it is.
Okay, 18 goals, and he's only started 8 games this season. That's a pretty astonishing record. But I think that also speaks to just how nasty Atalanta are in attack and how interchangeable those parts are. The way that Gasperini has things going. We got a question, George Widmer the fourth. Poor Cagliari, does Zenga deserve to keep his job after being there for only a few games, or does he need to go? I think there was a lot more expected of Cagliari overall this season.
The hot start didn't help anything.
Yep, than what we're getting. I mean, with some of the players they brought in and some of the acquisitions that they made, you know, they're still sitting in 11th and they're on 42 points, and they could probably surge to a top half finish. You know, but in our preseason discussions, there was talk about this team possibly fighting for top 6. Yeah. You know, for Cagliari, that is still ambitious. You know, when you take a step back and you take a look at how everybody has strengthened to one degree or another. Yeah. But with the way they have been dropping points, Richard, I don't know if Zenga stays on after this season. I think he's been okay. He hasn't been great considering the circumstances and considering what he inherited. For Cagliari to be down to 10 men against an informed Sassuolo and be able to scratch out a draw and hold on for it, I think speaks a lot to that. Can tend to tell you what the players might think of the manager, at least. So
yeah, and Zenga's done a very good job of stabilizing the ship. The team was in free fall under Maran, and he's stabilized the ship, and they're doing enough. They're getting results like they did against Sassuolo this weekend, but overall, I don't know if he deserves his job. He's done a good enough job. He's a good timeshare keeper, if you want to call it, whatever. But they need someone who can, you know, give them some more of attack, a little bit stronger defense, add a little bit more to their team overall, bring something, you know, other than just making sure they don't, you know, get relegated or anything. So I think Cagliari, you know, could do to get a boost in this. But who do you bring in, and who would want to come there? I mean, one of the best prospects is, you know, at Cagliari, it is so difficult to play. It always has been, especially when fans are there. But if they can find the right manager for them, who is that? I don't know. I would love to, like, you know, see who's available and try to see who would be a good fit for them. But if they can't find a good fit, might as well keep Zenga. But don't just fire somebody and hope you're going to get whoever.
I'll give you a name.
Okay. Don't say Pioli.
Nope. Nope. And let me just peruse through their squad list real quick just to see if I think this makes sense. Okay, I think it does.
Okay.
Eusebio Di Francesco.
Okay, interesting. George, I wonder what your thought is on this.
I mean, it's
not a big club, so he wouldn't be in the limelight.
It's a team that's trying to find some trajectory beyond where they're at now. They've built this to get to the middle. George is all in on Di Francesco. There you go. Okay. Okay. I think it's a great opportunity. It's a guy who needs to resurrect his coaching career of sorts. And it's a Cagliari team that I think has the personnel and the setup to fit some of the tactics that he wants to play. Nainggolan's familiar with them, did relatively well with them after a shaky beginning. Yeah. Okay. You know, keeping the team from falling is not good enough. You need somebody. Yeah, and I agree, George. You got to get somebody that is going to get you to the, you know, try to get you to the next level. Now, the track record for Eusebio Di Francesco, I mean, he just can hang his hat on eliminating Barcelona in the Champions League when he was at Roma. He had a disastrous start at Sampdoria, and I think a big reason for that start at Sampdoria is because he just never got the personnel that he absolutely needed to carry out what he did. He was playing his three-man he was playing his 3-man attack, but he was playing it with 3 strikers instead of playing with a striker and 2 wingers like he had the luxury of having at Roma, like he had at Sassuolo.
Yeah.
He didn't have the personnel that worked with what he did. And I think a lot of that goes on Ferrero for not, tweaking things to make it work. Ranieri comes in with a 4-4-2, and you can play 2 strikers out of those 3 or whatever the case may be. And it certainly has flown a lot better. But when you take a look at this, you can play Simeone in that striker role, and you can probably rotate Pavoletti in for him. You can play Joao Pedro off to one side. Marco Rog can play higher, in a winger role. He's done it before. And then you've got midfielders that make it work. Naita Nandez, you've got Nainggolan obviously is still there. Yonita, Chigarini is obviously getting up there in years. But it can work. You've got some decent goalkeeping there. You desperately need some center backs because you don't have good ones.
Yeah.
And Pellegrini's a solid left back. So there are pieces. And I have spent more time about Eusebio Di Francesco than I planned to tonight.
But hell,
I didn't plan on talking about him at all.
You got to give credit to Joao Pedro, 18 goals this year. I mean, what a fantastic year he's having. So might as well use him as one of your focal points of the many you could have at Cagliari. There's some potential there.
Yeah,
there's a reason why we were hyping them so much in the beginning of the season, because they have certain pieces there that could work.
Sure. So that's the name that immediately comes off the top of my head. If Cagliari can figure out how to get him, I think that can work.
Yeah.
So, so we'll see. Today's games, we had Atalanta beating Bologna 1-0, like we mentioned. Milan beating Sassuolo 2-1. An Ibrahimovic brace. Good boy.
I was wondering where you're going. I was like, you leaving?
That a boy. And a Francesco Caputo penalty on a Çalhanoğlu handball that went to VAR, and it's just it's the same handball that's been getting called every time. So there's no reason to complain and cry about it.
I think Hakan gets man of the match. He get 3 assists, 2 assists to Zlatan, and then he got the assist on setting up that penalty there. So
hey-o.
There you go. That's another former team. I don't know.
I had higher hopes for my DraftKings showdown lineups, and once Barabia got sent off, I thought, okay, 11v10, and Teo's just going to bomb down the left side in the second half. And what happens? He's yanked at halftime just because he got a yellow, and I thought that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I argued this on Twitter, and we had a conversation, and Martino Puccio agreed with me. If he's on a yellow and he's suspended for the next game, you have a man, just run his ass into the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. And just let him finish the game. All right. You can go to training and get Laxalt prepared, because you know what happened when Laxalt came in, he could have gotten a second yellow on one of his challenges. So, it was just, I thought it was a misstep by Pioli. He's made very few of them since the restart. Granted. No, I'm not going to say that. Well, I got no choice. He's staying through 2022. So yeah. We'll talk about that here shortly. But I think the biggest thing that comes out of this is that they win 2-1. We thought with the form that they were in, and Nathan Araya, good to see you. He said Locks will end up getting yellow too. Yeah, he almost got a second yellow. So he the important win, and why I'm not in such a panic now over the Atalanta game with the lack of players available, because the guy who should have probably been off at halftime didn't go off, Benacer, and he got a yellow that got him suspended. So and then Romagnoli's getting hurt, Conti's getting hurt, so it's going to be a mishmash of a team that's going to play Atalanta over the weekend. But not as scared of that game as a Milan supporter as I probably would have been if we didn't get, because to Evan Morris's point, Europe is confirmed for Milan. At a minimum, they'll be in the qualifying rounds of the Europa League with this win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like someone's take, and I don't remember who it was on Twitter, so I apologize. But someone said that, Romagnoli's been playing way too much lately. Rest him and play Gabbia with Chiar. Chiar can teach him as he taught Romagnoli as well, so that'd be good for him.
Yep.
Gives Romagnoli some rest still. Yeah. But yeah, no, Milan now with certainty to get to Europa League, and they deserve it. And
Steve wants to win so bad against Atalanta. Yeah, the wounds from the 5-0 game are still fresh.
Yeah.
So, and it's a regional derby, Lombardia.
Absolutely.
So,
that's why Steve doesn't like him, right, Steve?
Yep. So, but I'm a little more relaxed about that game going in, and now we're going to probably put out a team where we really got nothing to lose. What's the next yellow card suspension threshold after 14? Does anyone know? No, because I usually don't see anybody getting past.
What did Vidal get? No, I was kidding.
Arturo Vidal?
Yeah.
I was going to say more along the lines of Ciccadini's a yellow waiting to happen when he plays for Cagliari. So, Steve, they will live with me forever. Yeah, I know. That was a different time. It's a better Milan now. So, but let's transition into that because there is some news that is being speculated and discussed. And if Fabrizio Romano is talking about it, then it has legs. And that is Ralph Rangnick and AC Milan have decided to break their agreement, and that Rangnick will remain at RB Leipzig. Oh, look, guess what? Milan has to shell out $2 million for Rangnick for the inconvenience.
Worth it.
Rangnick's smart for having that put in. And Miguel said, at least Gasperini will have to watch the game from the stands. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that because that was glorious, and that's the beauty of having no fans, and that's the beauty of having no artificial crowd noise. English Premier League, you guys are nuts for continuing to do that to people. Oh my gosh. What did the translation was
Carlo Garganiesi said something. I think he's the one who tweeted it out. It just hit me now, and I'll try to find it. But what was said was amazing. See how fast I can pull this up here. Oh, come on. Give me 1 second. Oh, you're killing me.
Yeah, here it is. Mihailovic to Gasperini, all caught in perfect sound on live TV.
Yes.
This is the English translation. What the fuck are you talking to them? Talk to yours and don't break my balls. Talk to yours and don't break my balls. Go fuck someone's. Okay, my kids are not going to get to listen to this now. Don't break my cock.
Don't break my cock.
Yeah, don't break my cock. What the fuck do you want? And Gasperini gets the red card. And Mihailovic gets the yellow.
Deservedly so. He took it and did not say anything back. He deserves a red card.
The referee, you have no balls. Get out of here. You're not gonna respond to that.
Bye.
Oh my! How about that for a telenovela?
I've seen this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And this was after Mihailovic in his presser after the Milan game. I think he tried to translate it a little bit. He apologized for the. He apologized for his team's display against Milan, and now all of a sudden I'm in the game. Because all of a sudden I remember, because I was watching it, and then I just hear this shouting in Italian, and I can hear the swear words, and I'm like trying to make out what he's saying, and and then somebody came through and
Mihailovic was looking dapper in the Milan loss, 5-1, but he was looking pretty dapper. This little hat there, he's got some style here now. I like it. it. And now he's cursing, so he's got the best of both worlds.
But he always has. He had that shiny, when he was coaching Milan, he had that shiny waistcoat.
That's true.
Where I think I made the comment because this was before we ever got into doing this. I made the comment to you. I said Mihailovic is dressed like he should be bringing fresh bread to my table.
That's right. He did say. I remember that.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, he does look like a waiter at times, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's like that's a little too uniformish. Food service industry uniformish for me. What he was wearing. I can't remember the game, but I think it was also the same game where Milan were wearing those just gaudy monstrosity of uniforms, the yellow and green and whatever they were doing, whatever that was. So, but nonetheless. But yeah, that was a glorious exchange, and that is exactly why. The no fans and no artificial noise is a beautiful thing right now. So,
yeah, 100%. That is one of the best parts of not having the fans is to get to hear the interaction like that, especially that with Mihailovic and Gasperini.
Yep.
But going back to Pioli, he gets his extension now, and what have we been screaming? I know I've been screaming for the last few weeks is let Pioli remain as manager. He's doing so well at the moment, and if you look at things at the whole season as one. Yeah, it has up and downs, right?
Yep.
But they're bringing the team together at the right moment. The team's actually obviously fighting for him. We've seen the words from Zlatan and some of the other guys as well. He's really playing attractive football at the moment. They're playing one of the best football on the continent. And why not? This is what Milan wants. And the other best part about this is keep Maldini. we keep Maldini. He stays in the
Mm-hmm.
family. This is good. And you were Pioli in from the beginning. 100%.
Before anybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
Before anybody was talking about it. I said it on Twitter and I said, hey guys, Pioli might not be a bad idea. So
yeah. So
oh, mercy.
they finally came around. And it's so funny because I want to say Sempre Milan or one of these blog sites said, I think it was just before this was announced that like, oh, there's no chance that Rangnick is not coming to Milan, and all of a sudden this happens, and like, okay, no, never mind.
When you look at it, all right, would the Rangnick project, Frank Risorto, good to see you, man. Michael, Frank wins that one for sure. Michael, you were in my camp on this, so you get an assist too. So, Frank, longtime listener, first time watching, great show as always. Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words. Man, we got a lot of people in the chat. Ask questions, guys. Oh, but he has a shelf life. Yes, I did say that too, but because that is. But listen, let's get down to brass tacks. That is true.
It is true. 100%.
That is true. Inter, Lazio, Fiorentina. It didn't go well as time went on. Okay, Gazidis is taking the chance here that this might be the place where Pioli can hang his hat for a little while.
And we talked about this a couple weeks ago that every manager seems to have a fit that they get sometimes and something magic happens. And we saw recently with Ranieri at Leicester, or, you could have picked bunch of different managers where they didn't do that great before their stints, and then they get to a place and it just magic happens and things go really well and it stays going well. So maybe this is it for Pioli. Who knows? It could be. Everyone has a shelf life, and we know Pioli. He's had his ups and downs. He's took many teams, play very well in the season, all of a sudden, and then they drop off. We've seen that many times.
Yeah,
we've seen a little bit this season, but maybe this is the spot for him. And the players are behind him. And the most important thing for any manager is to have the players 100% behind you. And at the moment, they're all behind him.
Rangnick would have been an exciting project, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we all would have. Pioli could have rode off into the sunset. Don't worry, Michael. We're going to get to that. Pioli could have just rode off into the sunset or gotten a big gig somewhere else as a result of his work here. Rangnick would have come in with a very exciting project that I think, and I'll get to that in a second too, Steve, that I think would have worked given time. I think it would have been, okay, Pioli got us here, but Rangnick coming in, we would probably come down here a little bit before we went even higher, just because of that adjustment. And a lot of it with Rangnick having to adapt from German football to Italian football. Okay. So a lot of that. Okay. And Maldini should get the credit. Yes, indeed. And I don't want to give Gazidis any credit for this extension because he caused a shitstorm. He absolutely did. This really was a PR embarrassment. Yeah. To continue to drag this on while we had somebody. You can't do that kind of thing publicly when there are people that have jobs that are in those current positions. Fortunately, all of this rallied the team to come together and play for Pioli, because this could have gone south in a hurry.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So credit for Pioli for keeping his composure, managing the team. Credit the players for rallying and playing for him, and getting us to this point. So, who knows if the Rangnick project would have really worked? I think it would have had the potential for a pretty high ceiling.
Hopefully, he's his black book. We can just use that now that he's gone.
Sure. Maybe he left it behind, like Elf.
I was going to say Elf. Good thing you brought it up.
The guy he leaves behind the book with all the ideas.
Peter Dinklage.
Yep. So
I drink and I know things.
Pioli should teach Milan PR how to handle press situations. Yeah, I mean it's absolutely true. So, but Pioli gets the extension that he deserves according to reports. It's outstanding. And Maldini gets to stay on board too. To your point, would have been a very, very ugly way to see him go. So before we get into the next, we'll talk about these 30 goal scorers. But yes, Michael, I do see, can we get a brief eulogy celebration of Suso being officially sold to Sevilla? And how do you see him doing in Spain? Well, I've got Lakefront Brewery Premium Lager. American malt, German hops, added up to crisp, smooth, and clean. It used to say something else, using very fine words.
I was going to say America's finest, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. There you go. So, but anyway, so I am having a few beers in honor of Suso no longer being a Milan player. Michael Lisi, you were in charge of the Suso out bandwagon. I was co-pilot on that. Talked about how he was the Spanish Arjen Robben, or trying to be the Spanish Arjen Robben. How will he adapt to Sevilla? I don't give a fuck.
He should. I don't know. Yeah. Good luck to him. But
I hope the door hit his ass on the way out too.
Yeah.
And left him with a hematoma.
We've done so much better since he's departed. That's the most important part. So.
Yeah.
Adios.
Yeah. And just, and done with now the fights with the faction of Milan Twitter who loved the guy. Yeah, we're done. So good. All of that's over with. All right. So 30 goals. There are 2 of them in the same season.
Same game.
Cristiano Ronaldo, Ciro Immobile. Now the kids for sure can't watch this one, Frank. Yep, I know. So Richard will send me the radio version that I can play for the kids. So.
Right.
So, all right. So the 30 goal scorers, Ciro Immobile and Cristiano Ronaldo, incredible achievement to have 2 players do it in the same season. Before you complain about all of the penalties that Ronaldo got, Ciro Immobile got an awful lot of penalties as well.
Yep.
So that argument doesn't necessarily hold weight. So let's evaluate the run-ins and see who has the better chance to finish on top. Juventus is at Udinese, hosting Sampdoria, at Cagliari, hosting Roma. Lazio, they are hosting Cagliari. They're at Verona, hosting Brescia, at Napoli.
You got to give the edge to Ronaldo. Not only is his team playing better than Immobile's, but the run-in is a little bit easier. Both play Cagliari, great, but Juventus doesn't play Verona, and Lazio do. Juventus doesn't play Napoli, Lazio do, and so you got to think, and he can score against Roma as well. So you got to give the edge to Ronaldo. Can he get 36 is the question, or can Lazio? Or Immobile? I don't know, but I'm still, I think Lisi put out a poll. Hey, Sabrina. Lisi put out a poll asking who's going to win the Capocannoniere, and I picked Ronaldo. I know that's blasphemous, but based on the form of the team, his history, and who they got left, you got to think he's got the edge on this one. And I think it's a good edge. Lazio is completely shit to bed, like we've talked about, and they don't look good at all. The only time he's scoring now is from penalties. And granted, they'll still get some because Lazio can draw them, the most draw team I think in the league. But Ronaldo, I think this is his for the taking. He'll get all the credit again. And this year, regardless if he gets the record or not, this is more of an MVP type season to me than last year. I think last year they just gave him the freaking award. This year is a little bit better by Ronaldo. I think overall he's had more penalties, but he's done more for Juventus. I think.
I picked Ciro. I'm sticking with Ciro.
You have to this point, you can't.
Yeah, you got Cagliari coming to Lazio, and they're still giving up goals. I think they're playing okay for Zenga. I don't think Zenga's the long-term solution. We already talked about that. Yeah. The trip to Verona is going to be tough, but it hasn't been as tough as it was earlier in the season. They're susceptible and they're giving up more shots, so there's opportunities there. Brescia can be a big-time mess.
Yeah.
There's a chance to feast there. And then the trip to Napoli, you never know, what could happen there. In terms of Juve, I think it's going to end up being really close. Traveling to Udinese, I think is going to be a great chance for Ronaldo to get started. Going to Cagliari might pose an issue or two.
Yeah.
Hosting Sampdoria and then hosting Roma. So, yeah, clearly Juventus are going to play the weaker defenses.
Milano Miguel says, Juventus also has Dybala who's willing to, service Ronaldo. But, to be fair to Lazio, they have, Luis Alberto and SMS who can also do the same thing. So
Lazzari.
Yeah.
There's some players in there that are going to provide service to Immobile too. And, Caicedo is going to lay it off to him too. So,
yeah.
Miguel's asking who would be the next ideal striker for Milan going forward.
Someone who can score consistently.
Yeah, there's somebody
We
who
get
can score
Zlatan
goals.
from 10 years ago, no?
What's that?
We get Zlatan from 10 years ago. Does that count? No?
Oh, you get the Zlatan from today. It'll be fine.
If you look at the young strikers that are available, I don't even know. I mean, an older striker compared to, probably someone in his prime, Milik, maybe could work depending on the system. But, if you look at just in the league, I can't think of someone off the top of my head that I think would be an ideal forward for Milan. And if they went out and got a striker, you'd really have to go look for someone who's been a proven goal scorer, I think, as opposed to someone who had one good season.
I think you need, I don't. There's things I like about Milik, but then I think you need the modern striker and the modern guy now can be a blend of target and hold up play, but also have some pace to where he can unlock people.
We would all want Zapata. We would all want Zapata, but
yeah, a Duvan Zapata, obviously comes to mind. A Romelu Lukaku comes to mind. Okay. Somebody that's in that mold. Is Andrea Belotti like that? Can they get him out of that Torino hell? The hold up stuff's fine. The finishing's going to be there. What about the rest? What about the rest of it? Not to the. I don't think it's to the level of a Zapata or Lukaku.
No.
A guy I want to talk about here in a little bit, the Victor Osimhen, who is linked with Napoli coming over from Lille. Seems to be one of those that's in that mold as well. I'd like to find somebody with those kinds of characteristics. The question is, who is that guy? Where are you going to get him? And I think that's what we really need to try to understand is what's available, how much can you get him for? And it's also possibly, because with Pioli staying, Ibra probably staying, it's a guy that's going to have to be good with being an understudy to Ibra for a little while before he's turned loose. Go ahead.
There's a guy in Berlin. His name's Christoph Piątek. No, I was kidding.
I was just thinking about him, but no, I think he's in the Belotti category. Yeah. Do you think Piątek didn't work because the partnership with Suso didn't work?
And the team in front of him or behind him didn't work, and that's why he struggled. And I think a lot of these strikers, they fail because the team behind him don't live up to what he needs. They don't feed him the ball like he needs. And I think Piątek was missing service from Suso specifically because he was hogging all the shots and just doing whatever he thought he was helping the team when it really wasn't. But he didn't get the service, I think. And yeah, sure, he missed some sitters. But
I'd say somebody that's in the mold of a Timo Werner, who I'd put in that Osimhen, Lukaku, Zapata category, a Havertz probably plays more like a 10. Guys like that, I'm probably, somebody like that, but somebody that you can get at a discount would probably be what you're looking at for Milan going forward.
What's that guy from the Wolves? Portuguese player. Name is escaping me right now.
There's Raul Jimenez is the Mexican player. You've got.
Is this who I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Raul Jimenez.
I wouldn't mind him.
Yeah. Yep. He's in a pretty rigid system, and he somehow scores an awful lot of goals in it too. Yeah. So, but I think that's what you're looking at. I mean, that's what I like to see. That's what the modern 9 is starting to look like now. Yeah. Somebody who can do a combination of all of those things. I mean, for the longest time, you just had a big, strong guy that could absorb punishment from center backs, hold the ball, play people in, and get on the end of crosses. And then you see some of these revolutionary false 9 things, Sarri doing it with Napoli, and then you're seeing Lionel Messi playing it at Barcelona. Smaller guys that just run all over the park, and that can tear center defenses apart and get them stretched, and create some things. Now you're seeing a lot of strikers emerge that have a very good blend of both of those types of strikers. So we got pretty long-winded. So speaking of those types of strikers, the rumor is that Napoli is closing in on Victor Osimhen. Is it Osimhen or is it Osimhen?
I think it's Osimhen.
It's Osimhen from Lille. I was actually very astounded at the transfer fee it's Osimhen. Nigerian international, plays for Lille. I was actually very astounded at the transfer fees that they were talking about. I think they were talking about in the 60s in terms of millions. I wish our Napoli guys were on here to help us out with this one.
Yeah.
27 appearances for Lille in the 2019-2020 season, 13 goals. And now headed to Napoli, it looks like, by all accounts. Started off at Wolfsburg, went to Charleroi, which is in Belgium, I think, and then now with Lille. So he's bounced around a little bit. He's got some experience to him, and most importantly, he's got some goals, in his locker. So talk about this. Obviously, this means Milik is out the door. Mr. Bob Lex, good to see you. Means Milik is out the door. What do you do with Dries Mertens then?
Yeah, I don't know, because it depends what they're going to do with Callejon too. Is it someone that are they going to keep him? I know he's getting up there in age. He's a little bit older than, I think he's got a couple years, or at least 2 years, if not 3 years on Dries Mertens. So are you going to keep him? I think that's the first thing you need to solve. If you're going to keep him, then what do you do with Mertens? You could probably, if I were them, I'd probably keep Callejon as a sub if you're going to keep him at all, and keep Dries Mertens on the pitch. Makes sense to have him on. We've talked about it many times. But if you're not going to have, if you're going to continue with, Callejon and Insigne, or even one of the younger guys, I don't know what you do. I mean, this is your all-time leading scorer. He's talked about moves in the past, but now that he's, got the record for Napoli, maybe he wants to stay there. And he's kind of showed that with his comments as of late. So it's a tough one for me. But if it was my choice, if I was De Laurentiis, I would say bench Callejon or sell him and keep Mertens, put him on the right wing and have him move around or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. I think he's too important for that team.
That definitely sounds appropriate to me as well. So other possible, I mean, there's a lot of just silly talk going on right now.
There's a player I'm trying to find. He plays at RB Salzburg. He took over for Haaland when Haaland went to Dortmund, and he's had just as many goals per game as Haaland did at Salzburg. And I can't find his name right now. He's really good, and that's somebody who I'd be interested in to see what he could provide.
Speaking of which, the Rangnick cancellation, what do you think that does for the prospects of Szoboszlai coming over from Salzburg to Milan? I think that probably puts a dent in it.
Depends how much if he's a Rangnick guy and he's going to follow him wherever, then yeah, it's going to put a dent in it. But maybe he likes what he sees from Milan, especially right now, and maybe Milan is still an attractive name. So I think the percentage maybe has gone down, maybe a few percentage, depending on how much he likes Rangnick. But it's certainly not as good as if Rangnick was here. So,
yep, that sounds good to me. Other news that has hit here in Serie A, I think we've covered just about all of it at this point.
I think Daka was the guy.
Daka, that's it. That's absolutely it.
Yeah. He actually, I would say he ended up more goals than Haaland, but Haaland only played, half season. So he was pretty impressive. So that would be someone I would want to put my focus on, and see what the offer is. Throw something at Salzburg and see what they offer or what they counter with. So,
yep. I also see that it is Donnarumma. That Donnarumma is also talking about a contract extension as well. Rumors were that fat bastard Raiola is trying to keep the release clause under 50 million.
Interesting.
So that all floated out. That's all floated out there as well. So it's all speculation at this point. So
Miguel says that Sabalazar, or whatever you say his name, him and Leao have some kind of bromance going on. So that's good. That's good for us then.
Yep, indeed. So all right, time to move on to our new segment. Who won Calcio Twitter? After last week talking about at the DD away with his players he hates from each team in Serie A, and I believe there was another tweet out there from last week that we thought was very funny. So we decided, let's create a segment where we're keeping our eye out on Twitter. All of you listeners got to keep sending us stuff. Send us anything that you think is worthy of talking about here. And it's basically we're going through Twitter, Calcio supporters around the world, providing us with something to have a good laugh about. And we have 3 nominees for Who Won Calcio Twitter. So if you in the chat want to pick a winner, you guys can vote for yours.
Look at Mr. Bob.
Mr. Bob's already. Bob, you're spoiling it, man. Let me read these, okay?
Calma.
Okay, calma. All right. So the very first one that we came across actually came from Brandon at Sitdown, and I'll spell that at capital S, small I, capital N, small U, capital T, small RMON. And the tweet says, "I'm bored. Somebody play me." And it is a picture of Inter's leaked second kit, where it has the blue and black lines kind of in a cross pattern, and giving you under the Pirelli sponsor the appearance of the tic-tac-toe, and he puts an X in the middle of it. So Brandon is trying to start a tic-tac-toe game with Inter's second kit. What did you think of that one?
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. I saw one before that. That was a dish rag, but I thought that one was even better. The tic-tac-toe one. It would have been better if more people jumped on and started marking up too. I didn't follow that thread, but I can imagine. So. Yep.
So the picture of the Inter tic-tac-toe kit from Brandon at Sitdown. I already go back if you want the spelling of it, if you want to follow the guy. All right. Second nominee is a friend of ours, Art Morelli, at Art Morelli, Morelli. His tweet says, "Roma Twitter neglecting their last trophy in years. Hate to see it. It is a picture of a dying tree."
I laughed so hard when I first saw this picture. I was like, "Oh my god, that's a bonsai tree that they let die." I mean, damn, that's been so long since they won.
That's brutal. That's brutal. That's and that is a Darby Della Sud shade being thrown there.
Yeah.
As a Napoli, as Art is a Napoli supporter, but yeah, that was well played. So got a chuckle out of that. And then finally, nominee number 3 at Grego_1899 after Milan beat Bologna. He's a Milan supporter. He goes, "Love how we are able to score a lot versus smaller clubs like Lecce, Bologna, and Juventus."
Nice. I love it. Love it.
That one made me laugh.
It did.
That was great.
Hard one to choose.
Chad, it's all yours. Which ones do you like?
The consolation one for me, which is not in the running because this was on Facebook, but someone said there was a news article that came out that said no Ballon d'Or is going to be awarded this year, and someone was like, "Oh, sad day for Kalinic." And I thought that was pretty funny. But it was in Facebook, so it did not count. So have your go at the ones on Twitter, but I have my favorite. I think of the 3, which is hard. They're all good. I laughed hard at all of them, and I know you have your pick.
Yeah, they're all great. Man. But man, you tell me what yours is first, because I like all 3 of these. They're all quality.
They are all quality. I think I just slightly like the last one where they threw Juventus in. There was a small clubs. I thought that was really funny and like a little, just get them there. Art is brilliant, and so is the tic-tac-toe.
Yep. Okay.
Sabrina says Morelli.
Sabrina says Art Morelli's. I really like that one. Yeah, it's just so hard to pick. We got 3 good ones this week. So, who's going to clean their car with that kit?
George says the last one.
George liked the last one. Grego_1899's comment about that's a qual. Anytime Calcio Twitter takes a dig at Juventus and it pays off.
Too bad Rocco's not here. We get his opinion, I guess, on that.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd love to get Rocco's opinion on that. So, man, I thought the one from Brennan was strong, and I'm gonna just but I'm gonna take away. I'm just gonna take Grego's out of it as a Milan supporter, not to disqualify him. It's lovely. It was so funny, but I'm gonna give it to Art Morelli. I'm gonna give it to Art Morelli with Roma Twitter neglecting with the dead tree.
That was brilliant.
That is absolutely brutal to do to a fan base. That's absolutely brutal to do to a fan base.
Oh my god.
So I'm going with Art Morelli's. Chat, keep voting. I mean, you're welcome to tell me if I'm wrong here, but I would go in this order. I would say Brandon's Inter Tic-Tac-Toe was third, Grego _ 1899 second, and a very, very close second to Art Morelli being the winner with the
so good.
tree. We got to come up with prizes.
Yeah.
We got to figure out what to do.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we do. We have to figure it out. So go and check those out. Once again, these were the 3 nominees, and give them follows at GREGO _ 1899. Love how we were able to score a lot versus smaller clubs like Lecce, Bologna, and Juventus. The winner for me at Art Morelli. Roma Twitter neglecting their last trophy in years. Hate to see it, with a picture of a dying bonsai tree. And then Brandon at SINUTRMON. I'm bored. Somebody play me with a picture of Inter's league second kit where he's starting a tic-tac-toe game, putting an X in the middle box.
That's good. Good stuff, guy. Good stuff. Keep it up. Keep
them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them
Love
coming.
it.
Calcio Twitter. Even tag us. We got to start to hashtag these nominees.
I mean, even Spinazzola tried to get in on the action with freaking missing the ball and getting the penalty, but he didn't do it on Twitter. So
hashtag who won Calcio Twitter is what we're going to tag these as. So you guys as well, if you have a nominee that you see that we need to catch in case we're not following, at who won Calcio Twitter, and question mark, no question mark, we'll look for them both and try to collect them. So check that out. So love to see it. Keep them coming. So and then the goals from last weekend, I really think the only two that are worth, as there were a lot of goals, there was a lot of standard goals, but Tomiyasu's goal for Bologna and 100%. Politano's goal for Napoli for me were the two best.
I'm not complaining with that. Those are probably the two standouts for me. When I saw Tomiyasu's goal, I was like, "Oh my goodness, what a goal!" But Politano's is just equally as good. So yeah, those are two winners for me.
Okay, excellent stuff. And I think with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down.
Sounds good. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Can I win even if it's the team that I support?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Funny is funny. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's got to be funny. It's got to make us laugh. And at a minimum, I'm hard to impress. So Richard laughs at everything.
The wind blows and I laugh. So true story.
That's good. There you go. So we're gonna put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down. Richard, shameless plug.
Yeah, well, as always, you can follow me anywhere at R_KHARMAN. But please give a follow to our YouTube page, as obviously you're watching here. Make sure you subscribe and like. But check out the videos we're posting outside of the podcast. We're doing also podcast clips, interviews, but also doing some news pieces here and there as well. So make sure you follow, like, and subscribe.
Excellent stuff. I am at FTC_21. Serie A Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts. We have our own channel on SoundCloud. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there's podcasts, you can find Serie A Sit Down. You're here on the YouTube page. If you're watching us now, drop a like, subscribe. We're continuing to pump out content. We just had a great interview with the UK Lecce fan club. Talking with Will and Dom. Go check that out. It was a great time. Again, you may not think there's 40 minutes to talk about Lecce, but there was 40 minutes to talk about Lecce, and we covered it all. So, definitely go and give that a view.
And give them a follow on Instagram as well. Official UK Lecce. They're great guy. They put great content out there. Give them a follow. They got like almost 5,000 followers right now. So, who would have thought for Lecce supporters? Love it.
And if you're listening to this via the podcasts, that is available via podcast as well. So just dig deep into the Serie A Sit Down channel and check it out. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter, on Instagram. Find us on Facebook. We're all over the place on the social media circus. And it is a circus these days. It's not. Let's not bullshit anybody about that. But we're looking forward to more content. We're getting close to the end of the 2019-2020 season. Hard to believe. I believe we'll probably pump out 2 more of these before getting ready for the next season. So time to start thinking about team of the season. Time to start thinking about crap on a cracker. So we've got a lot in the way. So
lot to digest.
Yep, a lot to digest. But 4 match weeks left, a lot of drama left, a big relegation fight still going on, European places, people jockeying for position, lot to play for, and goals, lots and lots of goals. So
Guaranteed.
Yep, guaranteed. So I want to thank everybody. First of all, the chat, you guys came through big time. Great stuff. Appreciate all your contributions and all your comments and questions. So many clowns in that circus. I agree.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I agree 100%.
we forgot to talk about De Zerbi. There was a question about VJ wanted to know about De Zerbi and possibly being a future Italy coach. That was the question we missed. See, we're not pros at this.
We are not. Yeah. Interesting take, but
Too early to tell.
Too early.
I think he's finally got his
another one who's found a place.
Yep. Yeah, he's finally got his feet down at a place. Let's see if he can sustain some success.
Yeah.
So, a quick answer to that. So, all right. Sorry, VJ, that we waited till the very last minute, but appreciate the question. So, but anyway, thank you again, everybody in the chat. Thank you for all of you who are listening. For Richard, I am Frank. As always, tell your paisans about us. Ciao.